Welcome back to the Queer Agenda. Y'all already know we got the tea for the week, and it's including everything under the rainbow, y'all, including us and our feedback. Y'all know we're gonna bring y'all the tea, and y'all leave y'all comments below. Let us know how y'all feel about it. All right, because we obviously feel different sometimes. Hello, my name is DJ EXEL.
Yeah, Boss BRITT the most lit.
And it's your girl, the BADDIE GALORE.
The Queer Agenda.
What's up with y'all? First of all, Baddie, like you come to hold down your ground. Like you just come and be like, yes, I'm the femme on the episode. Y'all can't see me slipping. I'm gonna come and show out every time. Shout out to you and your eyeshadow or your lip gloss. I just want to say shout out to you.
It like started off as a compliment, but then it kind of felt like shade towards the end.
No.
EXEL can't help herself.
The eyeshadow thing sound like shade. It wasn't shade. I'm saying
was the way you said it.
On us. You shitting on us.
Thank
I
you,
ran and got a hat and thought I did something.
I think honestly, we're a good looking group as a whole across the board.
Yeah,
tens across the board. But I will say they was kind of eating me up in the Instagram comments this past week. I said, "Whoa!"
What they say?
They was like, I cut the clips and I mentioned how like if I were to date a trans woman, it would be the best of both worlds. And they was like, "Bitch, you're bisexual." They're like, "You actually want a man. You're actually the secret bisexual you're talking about." And I was like, whoa. But then I have to remember that people don't know me. And also they're seeing 1 minute of like an hour-long conversation. Yeah. So I try to just be like heart face, hard eyes.
It's so hard.
Very gentle.
Right, EXEL be in the comments going back like
only when I have time, and I usually only say one thing, and I'll let them write another paragraph, and I intentionally don't read the response.
You only respond once, yeah. But I did have a very interesting conversation with a gay guy and how he doesn't date bisexual men, and I was like, oh, I didn't know that you guys were so similar to us in that way. But yeah, I love when y'all comment though. I appreciate it, regardless if it's good or bad. We love the interaction. We love the engagement.
Facts. And I also seen somebody comment because we were talking about like as females, we kind of disclose like what we are, like bisexual or straight or gay, where I think which they made a kind of point that like when dating a man, I don't think that man is asked that as much as dating a female.
That's a good point.
You know what I'm saying? So somebody was like, y'all should look into that. And it's true because I can see a woman openly saying in like dating a guy like, yeah, I'm bisexual, but I don't think a man would openly like, say it as often. But that's a whole nother topic for another day.
Right. That's you taking my job.
I'm just saying I see y'all comments. Y'all be coming with it. So yeah.
Yeah, we appreciate it.
Well, BADDIE GALORE, what's on the agenda for today?
Ty Young is back on the agenda, and I think it's about time for the two of y'all to finally admit that Ty was definitely cheating with that man's wife, okay? Because just weeks after we defended her, including myself, the femme, against the allegations that she was dating her way through reality TV shows to become famous, and just hours after we briefly covered the fact that she walked the BET Awards red carpet with yet another heterosexual Viacom reality star, Brandy Maxell, Ralph Pittman, the estranged husband of Ty Young's alleged former lover, Drew Sidora, spilled so much tea about their marriage on Twitter, including receipts that allegedly show that Drew and Ty were very much dating one another in secret.
Not receipts.
I compiled all of them so that we can read through each one.
It's giving Photoshop. All right, let's just call it what it is. All right.
I don't know. It might be a rap.
That's Freddie O, man. Shout out to my guy Freddie O. You getting these people caught up, Freddie O. They using your photos.
That's what it is right there. Okay, now for those of you guys watching, if you're interested in the detailed lore behind Ty and Drew's alleged relationship, pause this video, go watch episode 4 of the Queer Agenda, because in that episode we laid out the entire timeline. Because
This
right
is
now,
episode 7 now.
I know. But right now, we're about to get into these receipts.
Oh my gosh, Ty, we had your back.
Receipts, man. Good
Yeah, we're
Lord.
about to get into the receipts, and I actually don't want y'all to say a word until we read through all of them, because I'm ready for y'all to change y'all tone this time around.
One thing?
Go ahead.
When we were standing up for her, and when she said thank you in the comments, I felt like, yes, we had your back, and you appreciate it. Now, if she played in our face,
and she did
in our face, it's up.
EXEL is crazy.
What's that even mean? It's up.
Right.
But I'm sure it's all a misunderstanding, right? Receipts.
Okay, so let me lay it out. Let me lay it out, right? So on Thursday, this past Thursday, Ralph took to his Twitter to basically air Drew out for the alleged affairs that she's had, considering that they're separated but still married. And she spent the last couple years publicly accusing him of cheating, right? That's been the storyline, that he cheats and she's just trying to get through her breakup, her divorce. So first, he alleged that the storyline that they had in their first season of Real Housewives of Atlanta, that he cheated on her in Florida, was all fabricated so that she could keep her job on the show. Then he posted text message screenshots that allegedly show proof that Drew was having a sexual relationship with this guy named Black. We don't know who Black is. I think maybe people locally in Atlanta know who Black is. I don't know who Black is, right? But he has been mentioned in a couple episodes of the current season of Real Housewives of Atlanta, and is also alleging that while Drew was hooking up with this guy, she also was trying to get back with Ralph. Now, that's really not our business as gay people. That's heterosexual business. It doesn't matter.
Period.
We can't take on everything.
Okay.
Right. But then he posted this tweet carousel of alleged text messages between Drew and Ty with the caption, "It's crazy how I'm called a serial cheater with no receipts when the affair that ended our marriage is denied, like explicit details haven't been out there for years. Keep crying for the cameras and telling your fake truth, but don't confuse acting with innocence." Right? This is what he says.
Dudu know how to act too. She is a good actor.
And so let's read through some of these text messages, right? So Ty is allegedly in the white. Drew is allegedly in the green. Okay. To me, based off of this interface, this looks like what's that? WhatsApp, right? So WhatsApp is not your usual on your phone. You have to download it. You can hide it in the folder. It can be buried. I'm just pointing that out, but that's not what we focus on, right? So Ty says to Drew, "I love you and miss you so much. Can't wait to have you +3." With the +3 referring to Drew's 3 kids that she shares with Ralph. Drew says, "Oh my God," allegedly, right? Allegedly. Drew says, "Oh my God. At first I was like, wait, +3, but I get it, baby. I love it so much. Can't wait either. Are you ready?" And then Ty allegedly says, "I'm watching your show. My brother said I did say I want a family." Okay. And then Drew says, "Be careful what you ask for." That's the first text message. Then in the next text message screenshot, it looks like Ty sent Drew some type of video or picture. We can't really see. It's cut off. Drew replies, "Baby, I was knocked out. I just woke up thinking about you. I miss you so much. Thank you for my flowers. Crazy. Let's talk about this screenshot because, yeah, that's strange." Again, we don't know what the screenshot is because it's cut off and you can't see it. And then Ty then allegedly sends Drew like a video or picture of herself. But again, we don't understand the context of this particular conversation. But she was calling Ty baby. That's what we're focused on. Now in the next screenshot, right? Ty sends a video of herself looking like she just got her hair done, which confirms that Ty is the one, that if this is Drew in the green, that she's talking to in these screenshots. Drew says, "It looks so good and healthy," heart face. And then Ty says, "Thank you, baby. I'm trying to decide if I want to cut it or let it grow. I don't like not being able to speak to you on the phone. I'm thinking about changing my number." Okay. And then Ralph posts this screenshot
I need a
of
shot.
Ty and Drew in the car. And if this does not look like your stereotypical I'm cheating screenshot with one person sleeping and the other person posing and smiling, and maybe they're on a road trip, look like there's some snacks behind them. We don't know where they're going, but
for me,
they're definitely together. But see, Ralph wasn't done yet. He then posts these pictures of Ty and Drew snuggled. Ty's face is snuggled in her neck. And if you say maybe that's not Drew.
Yeah.
Oh, but it is Drew because they took more pictures in the mirror, looking very much like a couple.
I don't see it.
I can barely make out who that is.
Oh, please. Now, I haven't seen either to date Ty or Drew respond to these screenshots and to these allegations. They haven't said anything. But Britt, let's watch this recent interview Drew did with Carlos King about her alleged relationship with Ty, where she says there was a lot of flirting between them, but there were certain things that she wasn't comfortable with, and kind of insinuates that maybe Ty thought there was more happening between them than there really was. Cue that up for me.
When it comes to you and Ty, the way Ralph made it seem like it was more than a friendship, that you guys could have been lovers intimately. Mm-hmm. What do you have to say to that? Were you and Ty ever intimate, kiss?
Flirting, yes.
Okay.
A lot of flirting.
Okay.
I'm not going to say that there wasn't flirting. There was a lot of conversation. There was a lot of group hangouts. And for me, there were just certain things that I wasn't comfortable with, and not judging anybody for their sexual orientation. I just love my husband, you know? Mm-hmm. And so there were certain levels. Now, I can't help if, you know, Ty felt differently or how she felt. I can't speak for her, but for me, I appreciated the friendship. I appreciated the conversation. I appreciated the fun. I appreciated, you know, the distraction from what I was going through. And so much so, I mean, she was around. We hung out publicly. So I wasn't worried about people seeing us or people, but I didn't know it was going to get to this extent to where he would say the reason why he wanted to divorce was because of Ty, because that wasn't actually true.
Okay. So now that y'all have seen all of the screenshots and the text messages, one that includes that is clearly Ty messaging Drew, are y'all ready to change your opinion about this maybe not so alleged affair between the two of them? And the answer better be yes, or it's up, like EXEL said.
I want to say one thing. I don't think we said this before, and I didn't notice the time that we did this, but we actually interviewed Drew not that long ago on the progress report.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
Yeah, so anybody watching this, y'all can watch that. If I would have known, I would have asked, but I ain't know.
Yeah.
I ain't have you on my side, Baddie Galore. I would have asked. But go ahead, Britt. I'm gonna let you do you.
Well, I need some more clarification. What's the timeline of these hearings?
It don't matter the timeline.
What are the receipts from? So, we're already separated.
I will
denying it though.
I will say the one thing that Ralph did not provide is like dates, stamps, and time.
All right.
So we don't know when these text messages happened, when these pictures happened, if it was while they were married or after they separated and were dating other people, right? I'm not completely sure about that. So that's a good point to make. We don't know what the timeline, but I think the point I'm trying to make is that they both have denied across the board that they've ever had a romantic relationship. And that clearly is just not true.
Well, he did say this is what broke up our marriage. So I'm assuming it is before. I ain't gonna lie, Ty. Like, I mean, she's beautiful. If that's your girl, just say that shit. Like, what?
If that's your girl, just say that shit.
Like, y'all.
Maybe they can't. Maybe they got a strong NDA. Maybe they both had something between the two that said we will not publicly claim each other until you get legally divorced.
I think
that they ain't say that.
Ooh, not Pap got the straight.
Captain Clarissa, they is happy.
Lord.
How do y'all feel about that? Off
They
track.
too happy for Pap to still be married, by the way, but that's another.
Very much so. I was about to say, I don't. That's a whole different
Yeah, I
topic.
tell you, she's never had a boyfriend before, but that's not what we're here to talk about.
You said you
what?
Clarissa.
She was engaged before him. She was engaged.
Right, but that's why her behavior is so like, girl, that's not your first man you've ever had. You're an Olympian.
Like Olympian is crazy.
Isn't she?
You said what?
Isn't she an Olympian?
Yeah. She's a 7-time. Like she's a beast. But anyway,
I don't know what to say about this here situation because I like to play devil's advocate.
That's so interesting that you have nothing to say. You had so much to say the last time.
A cheater gonna defend a cheater. You know what I'm saying?
The receipts, but I don't know the timeline. I don't know. I don't be knowing what's going on behind closed doors. So who's to say it wasn't separated? These things happened while they were separated. I don't really know based off of the things that were not provided, like dates. So,
but the whole thing is they're still denying even being like.
I used to deny bitches all the time.
And let me, Britt, and you was cheating.
I was not cheating. That's not true at all. That's very much so false. Y'all ain't never dated somebody and it was like a secret and it was kind of like a kink, like, and y'all be like acting like y'all don't like know each other.
Not if we weren't cheating, no.
Really?
So y'all went to the extent of texting on WhatsApp, the app that you text in.
Never in my life. Never in my life.
WhatsApp is crazy because what's the security behind doing WhatsApp? Like you can still get screenshots. Why would you not just use regular iPhone?
I want to know how he got the screenshots. Like who's like that was from her perspective in terms of like the messages, like from her side of things. So either he went into her phone and took those screenshots, or somebody close to her took those screenshots and then sent it to him.
Or maybe it's on her tablet or like on her computer or something.
Or the kid's phone or something. But WhatsApp wouldn't be connected though, right? Like that's only like iCloud and stuff like that. WhatsApp is not a part of that universe.
See, the crazy thing is, and I might be a little old school, right? But if I thought somebody was cheating, I probably would go to their text messages, go through to their Instagram, go to stuff like that. Maybe that's why they're doing WhatsApp, because like I don't think I'll be like, let me check their WhatsApp. Like, why are y'all going to so much like these far levels?
They were cheating together. They were cheating together.
And why do you think? I believe it was Ty was saying, I think I'm gonna get my number changed. Like,
yeah, that was weird.
No number for her.
Maybe because like they assumed that maybe Ralph knew her number and was recognizable, and so she got a different number. That I don't know. That was weird. That was strange. They were clearly cheating together.
Yeah, I wonder how they're gonna twist this because, like you said, they was definitely just big denying each other. So
big denying.
They ain't said nothing since this came out. So I am
not a peep. I haven't seen a live recording, a screenshot, a text message, nothing.
Because we know you've been looking.
That far
okay, searching through the hashtags. Where's the evidence at?
The hashtag. Y'all don't think they would go to the receipts for a storyline, do y'all? Y'all think they would go that hard to go for a storyline?
I think so. My perspective is that Drew was raised in the church. Mm-hmm. Drew clearly has an attraction to women, whether she's bisexual, whatever it is. It probably has always been there. She probably was finally allowed to explore that part of herself with Ty. And maybe she did fall in love. Maybe she didn't. You know what I mean? Ty was definitely locked in talking about something. I can't wait to take care of you +3, please.
Right?
I always want to be a
stepdad. Why you always want to take care of somebody's kids? I don't understand.
Just like this story.
All three of y'all?
And proudly.
Drew is also very, very close to her mother, who's a preacher, who's probably still very much ingrained in church. I don't think Drew would ever feel, from my perspective, my assumption, right? Because I don't know her personally, but like sometimes when you're so deep in a religion, that shame can't be maneuvered around. Mm-hmm. And so she probably would never feel comfortable being out publicly, because my thing, it's one thing to deny it, But that interview with Carlos King actually rubbed me the wrong
that
way.
was shady. That was
Because
so
she's
shady.
like,
Trying to
you know,
downplay it.
whatever your sexual preferences are, but like I didn't feel comfortable to like insinuate that Ty was almost like doing too much with you while you were just trying to be her friend. That's clearly not the truth, right? So like just deny it. Don't make her come off seeming like pressed and thirsty. Now I feel protective again because like don't be coming to our community acting all funny, right? Because you're in the closet.
Yeah.
Because you're so deep in the church. Like I understand the struggles. I think we all do. We've talked about it before, but it's like you got to work through that. But like you knew that about yourself before you started dealing with her. So don't go on interviews making it seem like she's doing too much when y'all were equally, I love you, I miss you. Let's have take care of these kids together.
No, that's corny. That's just like when a girl get outed and she be secondhand embarrassed and now she's trying to down. Like I don't even be on all that. Girl, what?
That's exactly what she did.
Call me daddy. Bitch, I ain't tell you to call me daddy. What the hell?
But see, my thing is, if the studs stop dating straight women, they wouldn't have to deal with stuff like this. Like being in relationships.
Actually, since you're talking about that, I just want to throw this in there, right? So today, actually, this week, we just dropped a new episode on Patreon of the No Homo Show with Jazz Anderson. And the crazy thing is, she said that she only dates straight women. And kind of her reasoning, y'all gotta watch the full episode, but kind of her reasoning was because if you left me for a man, you were supposed to leave me for a man. But if you left me for a woman, then I was slacking. I ain't do what I had to do. But you ain't gonna leave me for no woman. If anything, you gonna leave me for a man because I'm top tier in the lesbian world. But I do want to encourage everybody to go to the patreon.com/the No Homo Show and watch this episode because
I have to definitely watch it because that don't even make no sense, Jazz. And we was just commenting each other on Instagram. And I'm gonna have to comment back and be like, question mark, question mark, question mark.
So confused.
Me and Britt's face the whole episode. Y'all gonna see we were in shock, and she wasn't holding back. And she spilled a lot of tea about her breakup with Persuasion. And we love Persuasion, by the way, but we are definitely here for the tea and definitely down for both sides. But after this, y'all go subscribe to our Patreon because this episode is about to have the internet on fire this week. I already know. We
my
back. I know the internet got crazy. Yeah. And maybe we can
watch it like this.
No, dead ass.
No, for real. And maybe we could discuss it on the next queer agenda because it gets real. It gets real.
No, I definitely think we should because they very well known within the queer community them as a couple, but I will say they weren't really queer as a couple, if that makes sense. And so I think that's very interesting and that kind of tracks. But so I remember watching Persuasion on Bad Girls Club. And then I remember watching Jazz on Basketball Wives with her mom. So I'm very, very interested to watch this episode and recap this for sure. I want to sip the tea for sure.
Yes.
All right.
Well, talking about lesbians, we're going to go to back in the day. Do y'all remember Crissy from Domo and Chrissy? Do y'all remember this lesbian couple? They were arguably, if not the most popular, one of the most popular Black lesbian couples on YouTube back in the day. They made couple content for years, documenting everything, including Domo, who was the more masculine presenting one at a time, getting pregnant, having their first child. I mean, I think they set the standard for what lesbian YouTube couples look like and how they made content. But less than like 2 years after their son was born, they had a very messy and very public breakup. Domo began softening her physical appearance and turning femme, basically, and then later coming out as bisexual. Crissy quickly moved on into a new relationship with this girl, Jamila, and then also cut off all contact with both Domo and the child they once co-parented. There were a lot of rumors swirling around at the time. Some said Crissy wasn't into Domo's more feminine look. Others thought she was pressured into parenthood before she was ready because they were actually pretty young when all this was going on. I think Crissy might have been like 23, 24 when they actually had their son. Either way, Crissy took the brunt of the backlash. She stayed online, but never really recovered from the hit to her reputation. Fast forward to now, and there were some rumblings last week that Crissy is dating men now. And something that shocked folks, since she's always been in very public relationships with women. Then over the weekend, Crissy addressed the rumors in a YouTube video titled, "So Apparently Y'all Are Confused, Am I Dating Men?" where she made it clear up front. She didn't want to talk about it, but since people want to stop asking, she figured she might as well get paid for it by posting a YouTube video because she's monetized. Respect. Let's watch a little bit of what she says, Britt, and then I'll recap the rest because the video was almost 30 minutes long.
I wouldn't know how my life is because I don't post. We're here today to make this video because I just know that if I don't say something, people are not gonna shut the fuck up, and I'm not addressing nothing without getting paid. That's how I decide to navigate my life now. If you want to know about my personal life, I'm getting paid for it. How do I tell you? I'm not answering in no comments. I'm not making no TikTok because, baby, I don't get paid off TikTok. I barely post TikTok. Like, we're coming straight to YouTube. If you cannot tell, I'm irritated. I'm not gonna say irritated. I'm annoyed. And doing shit like this stresses me to the max. And people that know me, like, know my real life or have even been in my life, like, have watched my life, been around, I don't know, like, you know this shit stresses me out. I don't care to do this. I am 29 years old, y'all, and I have grown so much out of these 29 years, especially since I've been on the internet. I've just realized a lot of things that I'm going to talk about, but like, I don't care to do things like this, and I don't really care to address anything or talk about anything that is personal to me, because I get to choose what I put out on the internet, and it's nobody else's business unless I say it out my own mouth. But that's not the case here because people have these parasocial relationships. I'll be so mad, y'all be so upset when straight people don't be liking gay people or be saying slick shit about gay people or be disrespectful towards gay people, but y'all do the same thing to your own people, which I think is nuts. And me personally, I've never, ever, hand to God, I put it on my mother's life, I put it on my dead grandma's life, I have never, ever, ever judged anybody for their sexuality. Ever. I don't give a fuck what you like. I don't give a fuck if you like men one day, bitches the next. I never gave a fuck. Ever. Ever, 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 ever. I've had friends come to me and be like, oh, I'm pansexual. Out of nowhere. Men, what purpose does that serve for me? I don't care. Like, and it's just so funny to me that people in the gay community will say slick shit like that, and then it makes people not want to say something. But me, I don't give a fuck and never gave a fuck. Never cared. Like, if y'all don't fuck with me, cool, I don't give a fuck. Moral of the story, yes, I date men now. I don't see why it's such a fucking big ass uproar.
Now, this video came after she announced 5 months ago that she was done with YouTube and would only be live streaming on Twitch. But explained that after posting a couple TikToks, which she says she rarely does, she got flooded with questions about her dating life, especially whether she was seeing men. With the help of her two best friends, she found out that a viral video was circulating claiming that she was now dating men and had been outed by someone else who told the person that made the video. Now, that video led to over 100 comments of people asking her, are you dating men, and accusing her of going to the dark side. As we saw, Crissy called out the community, queer community, said everything was weird. And it just shows how unsupportive the gay community can be when former lesbians want to explore their sexuality. We saw, she pointed out how we don't appreciate when straight people judge us, but we judge our own, and how that kind of judgment makes bisexual or pansexual people feel unsafe expressing themselves. But Crissy doesn't care, and she confirmed that, yes, she has been dating men. Before diving into that, she did clarify that she and her ex-girlfriend, Jamila, who we saw, started dating right after Domo, actually broke up around June or July of 2023. They chose not to announce the breakup because they weren't a YouTube couple. After the breakup, Crissy moved back to Indiana and started dating a man, which lasted for about a year. She said he wasn't really a secret. He popped up in her Twitch streams, but she didn't want her dating life to be as public as her past relationships. She also didn't feel like she owed anyone a big coming out video just because she was now seeing men, especially when she still is attracted to women, but she has been dating men for about the past 2 years. She admits that she might be overreacting or overly anxious about people learning this information about her, but it stems from the backlash she received after her and Domo broke up. Still, she's made peace with keeping her personal life offline, which we saw her say. She doesn't feel the need to explain her sexuality or seek validation from the internet. She loves life that she's built for herself and doesn't plan on changing it anytime soon, even if people stay on her neck about the fact that she's dating men. Interestingly, she also said that a lot of people in her current life didn't even know that she used to only date women. So let's start here. Were y'all surprised to hear Crissy confirm she's been dating men for the past 2 years? Or did it kind of make sense? She made a point to say that she didn't feel like she needed to come out again just because she's dating men. Do y'all agree with that? Should queer folks have to explain when their preferences shift? Crissy also said that a lot of people in her life now, again, don't even know that she used to only date women. What do y'all make of that? Is that growth, or do you feel like she's distancing herself from her queer past?
It's like a test. It's like 15 questions.
Answer all of them.
I want to say, for the record, I was the first person, and somebody can correct me if I'm wrong, to book Domo Wilson. I want to say that, okay?
Okay.
First one ever to book her. Party was
okay.
I got robbed afterwards, but that's a different story for another day. You feel me? But that was the most lit party, and yeah, I was definitely one of the first to book Domo Wilson. Okay. As far as Crissy, and you know what? This is why I will say Domo was one of the first people who, when she was went bisexual, that made me feel like I'm not surprised by anybody else, because I did not see that coming.
That was a shocker.
I didn't see none of that coming. Just like a film, having a baby, being bisexual, I didn't see none of that coming. I think now she's about to be a doctor. I think her whole life has just been like, Domo just do whatever the fuck she want. I will say that first and foremost. So Crissy coming out and saying that she's also into men now, I'm not surprised by it at all. Especially she done went back to Indiana, small town. It ain't a lot of bitches there. She had to get some dick. Small town ain't got a lot of options. We say that all the time. Like, yo, maybe she didn't went through the catalog. She like, you know what? Fuck it.
Catalog's crazy.
Nigga, you get what I'm saying? And where she started from versus now, how she just said she's 29 years old. She's a completely different woman. And it doesn't seem like she necessarily broadcasted her growth over the years. So in her eyes, maybe it's like, yo, I've been living my own life for the last whatever amount of time. I don't even be on YouTube that much. I'm coming back just having fun, posting TikToks. Y'all asking me crazy ass shit when the whole time he ain't even my first nigga that I had after Domo. Y'all are late to the party. You get what I'm saying? So I don't feel like, especially for somebody in her case where she clearly is like, she's tired of having her shit on the internet. She did have a very, very public relationship, and it was
dragged for it. Yeah.
I can see how she wanted to be more private. I don't feel like in her personal case she really owed anybody any type of explanation, because I mean, she just felt, it seemed like she went through a lot with that. So I can understand how she might have been triggered to even be like, yo, I don't even want to post my next person, whether it's a female or male. And she knew we was gonna judge her anyway, on top of that.
I get all that.
We was gonna judge her ass.
But listen, you gotta take the pros with the cons. If you're making money off of publicizing your relationship, I'm not gonna lie. Like I said before, I do think eventually, not right away, especially when you're figuring yourself out. It's not like, oh, I gotta tell my community. But no, you ate that shit up when everybody was streaming your stuff. You know what I'm saying? You to this day, you're like, let me monetize my content by telling you that I'm with a man. You know what I mean? So like, no, technically you're not obligated to tell shit. But I do think it's fair, if you're eating up, you know, the pros of the internet, you need to, you know what I mean, come back around when shit might not work in your favor. You know what I mean? And I'm sure that they eating up, the views is eating up too over there. So, but we've talked about this in so many relationships that we covered already, and we do got to give people grace to change. You know what I'm saying? And there are like some people some people because I do feel like as a social media influencer, like that's the life you chose. I mean, you can go back on it, but don't come back just to monetize it and be mad. Yeah.
What? Yeah. I mean, I think I agree with BRITT on this one. Like,
You always
Crissy,
agree with Britt.
that's not true at all.
I'm about to
EXEL,
zoom
don't
in
start your
on you.
shit.
Don't start being a Cancer.
Right, like, don't start your shit. No, I always take a fem side. Always.
Oh, that's what it is with her. She just taking it down.
Supporting sisters. And I felt
Lord.
wow, can I speak? Do I have a safe place? Can I have a platform? My God.
Let's give you your platform.
Thank you. Thank you. I felt like in that breakup, she got the shitty end of the stick. I think she got very much attacked, and it was really unfair because she was young. Becoming a parent is not easy. We don't know what was going on in their relationship, and people didn't really give her a break. They liked Domo more, so they took her side. Yes. And I think that if my partner right after giving the birth was like, actually, I want to be a femme, I might be a little bit aghast too. You know what I mean? It might throw me off too. And I think that we might have talked about this before, but like when your partner goes through like a major change, it might be good for them, but no one talks about how it affects the person that's dating them. Whether it's coming out as bisexual, coming out as trans, having a child, like that's a big change to happen, especially back to back. And I don't think Crissy really got a fair shake, right? And then she moved on pretty quickly, and then people hated her for that. And she mentioned in the YouTube video that she's dated men in the past. Now, she hadn't dated men since she was in high school, but we don't know if she was ever just a lesbian. They might have branded themselves as a lesbian couple, but she could have been bisexual the entire time. We've just only seen her in lesbian relationships. And her Jamila, the ex-girlfriend, didn't even really do couple content in that way, which she spoke to. She said it just didn't really work for them, and they just enjoyed a very private relationship. So in this case, I feel like it's not like she continued to brand herself as a lesbian and continue to take up space in lesbian spaces and be a lesbian influencer. She was really just, like you said, offline, living her life. So if she's been dating men this whole time, okay, you know?
Sorry, that's so gay.
But I will say though, I have dated multiple studs from Indiana.
Okay. Shout out to the Midwest.
They are there. And my current girlfriend actually is from Indiana. So that's not to say she couldn't find one. Maybe she just didn't want one out there.
Right. And also, I just want to shout this out. When I seen the video, I seen Dominique tatted very big on her arm. Is that Domo?
Yeah. No, that's the son. That's the son.
That's the son, but she's not a part of the son's life no more, neither.
No, she's not a part of the son's life, and we
don't really know. Too. I don't even know they story like that. I know Domo
think about that.
You're saying she's young. I know people under 23 that have babies, baby.
And a lot of people do not be ready for kids now. She probably, if she wasn't ready for a child, she probably should have spoke up about it.
Here now.
But lesbians, I personally think that a lot of lesbian couples be going to the sperm bank and getting pregnant very quickly and don't even be staying together and be creating broken homes. And I think we got to talk about it eventually. And it was very clear that, granted, I don't know these people, this is just an assumption, but it was very clear that Dama was ready for something that Crissy was not, and they should have probably had a more honest conversation about that. But they also were children.
They was not children.
She was young.
That's very.
She was young.
23, 24.
23 and 24 is very young to be having kids. I know that our parents didn't think so, but looking at it as like a 30-year-old, that's young.
I get it. No, I get it. It's young, but if you decided, and even if you wasn't ready, but you do decide, you did help bring a life in.
I agree that she should be.
You can't be a deadbeat because I was young.
She definitely is being a deadbeat. Like I said, if she wasn't ready, she should have said something. But I do think she deserves a little grace because she was a child. She was young.
That child deserves grace.
100%. I'm not saying that he doesn't, but I just I can understand that, like, you're in this relationship that you've been in for a long time. Your partner's ready to have a child. You think you're in love, so you're like, okay, let's have a child, and then shit doesn't work out, and you're like, actually, I'm not ready for any of this. Like, I'm not saying she's right, but I also can understand probably what she went through.
Yeah, that's why I was like, in this particular case with Crissy and just how I know they ended, I just know she probably went, because when they broke up, niggas definitely
tore her up. Some parts rightfully so, but I think outside of her not being involved in the child's life, she didn't deserve any of the rest of that stuff.
Yeah, and do we know why she's not in the child's life?
I don't know if they've ever directly spoken to it. Now, she's acknowledged that like she's not gonna like cover up the tattoo or anything like that. But
Yeah.
I don't think either one of them has ever come out and been like, this is why she's not involved. Like Domo made it very clear, this is my son. I don't need her involved. And I think she's a great mother and has done a great job with her child. But I don't think it's ever
Elmo
been.
took the baby from her and she wanted to be in the kid's life.
Well,
I don't think that's what happened.
As a mom, I'm fighting for that kid.
I don't think that's what happened, honestly, though. I think it was Crissy's decision. I'm sure her getting into a new relationship so soon, right after they broke up, also didn't help because maybe Domo didn't want this other person around her child, which is fair, right? But like, I think that part is just so deep that
yeah,
but you know what? So
it ain't too late to give us that story time.
Yeah, and I'm gonna be honest. Like I know of them in general. I don't know like the specifics, but
Yeah.
I'm just speaking in general. Like if we want to say like kind of be treated like heterosexual relationships and respected like that, like we need to treat our decisions like that too. I get maybe you could be 15 and be in love with somebody and feel like oh my God, and have a baby, and that's still your responsibility. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I say not like you're actually, you know, at an age where you can have your own and stuff. So I don't know their you know, specific shit, but just in general, like we as lesbians, we can't do that. We can't decide to have a baby with somebody and then because we break up and now we're in another relationship, like, no, I don't want you to be a part.
I agree,
no, we need to treat
niggas do that too, though. That ain't even just lesbians. Niggas
yeah, but you have parental rights
the point
to fight
she's
for your
making is
baby.
like the standards. I mean, like I said, I actually think that there's a bigger conversation about the way that a lot of lesbians go about having children when they're not in happy relationships, and then those relationships don't last, and then those children are left with broken homes. And like that's a choice. You have to put so much effort and money and time to get pregnant as a lesbian. If you're not ready or your relationship is not healthy, you should not be doing it just because you can. And that's a hill that I'm willing to die on. Like I really feel passionate about the fact that like lesbians choose to create broken homes for children when it doesn't have to be that way. But, you know, I also think that there's a degree of like, sometimes people are just happy to be able to have a child. They don't even think about like down the road or like really are looking at the relationship, because like having a baby is not going to save a relationship, but it definitely can change a relationship and it definitely can break a relationship. And so I think that's a part of what happened here. And it's just very unfortunate because the only person that suffers is the child. But to Britt's point, Domo's doing great. Clearly, Crissy's doing great. So, you know, obviously they were probably better separate from each other than together.
Yeah, because they not, in my eyes, I just don't see them as like a regular average lesbian couple. Like I be trying to think of like how people, y'all know this social media shit really make people do certain things that like we be like, that's not morally right. But yeah, that they did it, but like people will be like, yeah, but we could document our whole pregnancy and the views would really go up. And
I agree.
You know what? You're right. Let's go ahead and show them because we can be. And it's like I know like you're an adult at 23, but like think about if you like 23, all that money, all that fame. You get what I'm saying? You move the pressure. I'm trying to think of that too. Like she probably wasn't. I don't know. You feel what I'm saying? But I'm just thinking like that probably all weighed in on like their decision to even like have a baby and all that stuff. And then I know the kid, I don't know when it became known, but the kid was autistic, right?
Is autistic, yeah.
Is autistic. So I don't know if that weighed in on it. And, you know what I'm saying?
I don't think he was diagnosed until after they broke up.
Yeah.
So I don't know how much that could have impacted, but I think the point you're making is such a strong point. And I think it's interesting because both of them coiled away from the public eye after they broke up. Like initially they were posting on social media and they were doing their little jabs, but like they both went ghost for many years. You know what I mean? And it probably is a reflection of how much being so public with the relationship and then their breakup impacted them in a way where the money wasn't even worth it anymore. And the money probably was not the same anymore either. Because couple content for what it is doesn't last. If like you have to be together for it to make sense. Once people break up, they either choose sides or they just don't care about either person anymore. So that's just because Domo tried to, you know, turn her little rap career, failed, right? Because nobody cared. Crissy tried to do her little YouTube couple with her new girlfriend, failed because nobody cared. And now they're living their lives successful, but like nobody really cares anymore because they're not a couple anymore. And that's just like the downside of things.
I ain't heard their name in so long. Like, no shade.
Yeah. Super
And
back in the day.
to like what Britt was saying, like I think even when we interviewed Monty, she was talking about how like Monty and Lola, like they would, you know, you would perceive them one way, but she's like, yo, right before we cut them cameras on, we might have been arguing. You know what I mean? So we like, I do think it's like a false narrative that a lot of couples put on screen, and then they do fall under a lot of pressure of like, y'all so like even like we with Queen Naja Queen, like we're like, why y'all not married yet? Like they don't have to be, but we do put that pressure on these couples that look perfect to us, and they know what's going on in their house. They know what they arguing about, but to us, we're like, y'all don't argue, y'all, you know, and we put this pressure on them. And then, like Britt said, they could eat it up too. Like, yo, this would be more content. Like, if we were doing a wedding, if we were getting married, we could do so many videos about this. Pregnancy, we can. That's a whole other lane we can go in, you know. So I could see how that kind of takes over people's lives, and even how we was talking about Ty and stuff and narrative for reality TV. I just really hope people find a balance of being happy while being in front of the camera, because people are letting this shit dictate their whole lifestyle and happiness and really be fucking miserable.
Oh God.
Yeah. Britt, let me ask this question before we move on, because I know that you and your fiance do couple content. Do y'all ever feel pressured in terms of like trying to create things that are engaging? I mean, don't y'all have a shared Instagram account?
Thank you for recognizing that. I appreciate it.
Of course. Yeah. But like, do y'all ever feel pressured to create certain type of content to try to like build your page or get engagement, you know?
No, not really, because we're not really into it like that, I think.
Yeah.
But and she don't really care for social media at all. But in the past, because I used to have a little, let me whisper this. I used to have a YouTube thing going on that I was trying to start up. And we were definitely trying to paint a picture.
Yeah.
The person who I was engaged to ASAP, we was trying to make it look like we was happy. But behind closed doors, we was Clarissa Shields on Clarissa Shields, okay?
Oh my God.
It was bad. But yeah, that pressure was there to be like, I'd be like, yo, can you smile while we do this video? Can you get rid of your attitude real quick?
Yeah.
Like, that shit be real. That shit
be real.
Okay. Well, all right. So moving on. This topic came up in our last episode, and I want to revisit it because it's a conversation that doesn't always get the nuance it deserves. And I think it's actually one that we should sit for a second and discuss. And that's if trans men should be allowed to hold space in lesbian communities after they transition. But before we get into it, let's watch this short clip from the Wrong Sauce podcast where they're talking about the same thing. Play it for me, Britt.
I still want to be around lesbians. And I still want to be around people who generally don't like men. You know what I mean?
Sure. But don't you think that, and I don't know, right, what your experience is, but you don't think that lesbians are softer to trans men? I mean,
of course. Yeah. But then that's where people want to like violently affirm my gender and be like, you transition, you're a guy, boy. So therefore I'm not attracted to you. And I'm like, we'll stop right there, actually.
Oh,
you know what
interesting.
I mean? Like, because I think a lot of trans men would be like, yes, and want to be that like binary man. I'm not there. I'm not living there. I don't really like it. I wanna be where the masked lesbians are. You know, I wanna be like, I see us as same. I have just gone on HRT.
So you don't relate completely with the male experience?
No. Because like a lot of trans men like claim that, and I love that for them, right?
Absolutely. And what's individualized.
Yeah, and they're super proud to be like, I'm a man, and not only am I a man, I'm a nurturing, loving, caring, soft man, or like maybe they're not, or like whatever, but they're like bringing things that are usually not attributed to men, and they're very proud to be men in that way. I don't feel that. I just feel like, I don't know, I feel more in the middle or more neither.
This conversation obviously brings up a lot of layered feelings because for many trans men, especially those who once identified as lesbians, lesbian spaces were their first experience of queer community, safety, and love. These were the places where they figured out who they were, even if who they were changed over time. So when someone transitions, it can feel like they're being asked not only leave behind an identity, but also a community that shaped them. At the same time, lesbian spaces have always been fought for, especially by masculine presenting women and lesbians, because they have historically been erased or overshadowed in the broader queer landscape. So when those spaces start to feel diluted or redirected toward people who no longer identify as lesbians, some folks see it that as a loss or even kind of a betrayal or tend to be protective over it. It's not always about exclusion for exclusion's sake. It's about protecting something that already feels endangered to the lesbian community. But maybe it's worth asking, are we treating identity too rigidly? Can someone's history in the community and emotional ties to it still matter, even if who they identify today has changed?
This is deep.
It's a good topic. You want to go?
I will go first by saying, this is a sensitive topic, but it needs to be. We need to discuss it, and there's no right or wrong, but we should feel comfortable being able to discuss it, especially as like promoters, all of us. You know what I mean? And first of all, I want to say that our parties are promoted to lesbians, but are open to everybody within the community. You know what I mean? And there's nothing wrong with wanting a lesbian party, you know, but it is definitely open to everybody in the community. And what we are learning is that there's not one type of trans man. You know, some trans men don't want to be associated with the queer community, and some, like how he was saying, is like, I still feel like this is my community, which no, we're open to it. I guess the biggest thing is y'all can't feel so defensive when we're like throwing a lesbian event. You know, we do try to make it clear that it's open to everybody, you know, but I can understand, and that's a tricky place to be in, because they might not feel like they're accepted here or totally accepted in the straight world. So I can understand their battle, and they definitely have a ongoing battle with several different things.
Yeah.
So back in my hometown, we've always done co-ed parties. So I never in my life even thought that deep into like a conversation like this, which is definitely a valid conversation. When I moved to Atlanta is where I saw that the men and the women party separately. So I think we just off the gate just kind of got stuck with the biggest lesbian parties because it was already some segregation there. And I don't think it's for any other reason besides people just want to be in a space where they know for sure, okay, you're into women, you're into men, but also because niggas in Atlanta be fighting a lot. And I think a lot of women don't like all the fighting. You feel me? We do a co-ed party during Pride, and we appreciate that because I think everything, I want to party with everybody that's under the queer label. We even be having allies at our parties, and that's something recently that's been talked about. Like, should allies be able to come to parties? So we personally do not turn around anybody, whether you're a man, woman, straight, gay. If you here to party, we're gonna let you know, hey, it's predominantly women here. Like, even at the door, like if a guy try to come in, we like, hey, just let you know, it's predominantly women, it's lesbian. Be respectful, because we even have men that like, yo, be coming in here being weird. Because sometimes people be coming like if it's somebody's birthday and it's their brother. They like, my brother really want to come. Like, he likes to party with y'all. I can't tell you how many times men in general just be like, yo, I like coming to your parties because
it's a vibe.
Y'all don't be on no BS, y'all party, all that good stuff. So I do think for me personally, I've always welcomed, you know, everybody, but I do and have heard feedback like, oh, y'all only promote it as the number one all women party. I don't feel like I'm invited, but it's like that's not intentional, as if we're saying you're not included. If you feel safe in this space, come on over here. We ain't here to judge nobody. I don't care. I could care less. If you feel safe to come over here, do that. If you rather go somewhere else where it's strictly this is a trans event or whatever the case is, then you can go over there. But I do feel like for me personally, with being a promoter, I like just having it everybody's welcome. I don't really like having it to where it's like only women. But I know people who do that, and people be feeling some kind of way on both parts. So
yeah. I mean, for us as party promoters, like in DC, there's nowhere for lesbians to go. So when we like nowhere, it's very really dominated by gay men. There are only clubs for gay men. There are like 2 or 3 lesbian bars, and they're really garnered towards white lesbians. So for Black lesbians, if we don't create our space, we don't have a space, right? And so when we started the frequency class, it was about creating spaces for people who don't have it. But we've always branded ourselves as an inclusive party, which means whether you are gay, straight, bisexual, trans, whatever it is, you can come to our party. Similar to y'all, if a guy comes to the door, we basically say, like, we kind of like gut check it. Like, do I feel like you're going to be being disrespectful? Yes or no? But like, it is an all girls party. You do have to pay more because if you're going to be in this space, you're going to pay for it. Okay. But like, just be respectful. And if you're not respectful, we're going to kick you out. So we definitely are inclusive. From a personal perspective, I actually find it strange when trans men don't identify with the queer community, right? So like I talked about my best friend when he first started communicating with me how he doesn't want to necessarily go to gay parties. It was more because he wants to date straight women. And so I was just like, oh, okay, I guess that makes sense. But like, I still consider trans men as queer. I don't see them as cisgender men because they came from the lesbian community and they probably will be the safest in the lesbian community. So that's what makes the most sense to me because I feel like men don't respect women. They definitely don't respect trans women and they definitely don't respect trans men. And so for me, it's like, where will you be the safest as someone that I love? It's probably in the community that you used to belong to and that you used to still belong to. And I do find it very strange when lesbians are weird about that because it's just like, unless they're acting like a cisgender man and being violent like a cisgender man, why would you not want to share space with them and hold space for them, knowing how difficult it can be for them when they go out into the real world? Because not all trans men look like trans men sometimes and aren't respected as such. But, you know, I do understand that lesbians can be very territorial, but I just don't think that's something that we should be territorial about.
Yeah, I never felt the energy of when like a trans man is at an event that it's like, why is he here? I never felt that. Like out here at least, I feel like we're pretty open to it, you know. It's just I do think sometimes there's a lot of sensitivity within the trans community that like sometimes we might not understand, and the only time they express it is with like frustration rather than like just coming and talking, you know, because even like what you're saying, and it's like you want to be identified as a man and stuff. Are we charging you as a man, or is that going to be a problem too? You know what I mean? And
I definitely think that trans men can give lesbians more grace when it comes to feeling like they're not being included just because it says an all lesbian party or all girl party. That's like a branding thing. That's a marketing thing. That's not a personal thing. Like if it's an all girl party on the flyer, but then it also says queer inclusive, that means right there you're included. And also, like, if you used to be a girl and you're a part of the lesbian community, you can come to a lesbian party. I almost feel like that's not something that we should have to say. And if we don't say it, I don't know if it's necessarily fair to take it so personal, like you're being attacked, right? And I think that sometimes when people are going through these transitions, they can get very sensitive. And I think we all deserve some grace in terms like we're not personally trying to not include your one group of people in this party or in this space or in, because it's not just parties, it's events, it's scenes, it's even like I remember back in the day on Black lesbian Twitter when like everybody was transitioning and they would get so upset when people are like, you can't call yourself a stud. And it's like, well, you can't call yourself a stud, right? Like if you have transitioned to a man, you can't call yourself a stud. That's fair. But like you can't get mad that we don't want you to identify as a queer lesbian term when you're no longer identifying as a queer lesbian. Like that's just, words mean things. We have to respect that words mean things, but we're not trying to exclude you from anything by protecting some of the labels that we have within just the lesbian community, if that makes sense.
Right. And they might have been so used to being a stud, because a lot go from like being like just finding themselves, you know what I mean? And come from being a stud to being a trans man, where it might be hard for them to let go of something they just been used to for so long.
Right.
You know, so yeah, and maybe we should add inclusive in there, you know what I mean? Queer inclusive, you know. I mean, on there to play devil's advocate, if I seen something promoted for trans men, I might not feel like I'm really wanted there too.
Well,
you
yeah,
know
why
what
would
I'm
you
saying?
go?
Like,
Right, yeah.
I never seen like, well, if I seen something that said like a trans man convention, I probably wouldn't show up because I wouldn't know how I, you know, but
not a trans man convention.
I mean, or a trans man party or something. Like, I don't know. You know what I'm saying? I might think like, yeah, maybe y'all don't want me, so I can get it from that aspect. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I think just to like sum that up, like I think our biggest thing was saying this is for women and not necessarily gay men, because like you said, even here in Atlanta, the gay men do have the gay establishments. We are forced to go into like sometimes some of the worst like establishments that are failing, that need us
Just
to
have a
save
party.
them.
Yeah.
And we're usually saving establishments, unfortunately, because women just in general, just not just gay women, but just women in general, don't spend as much as men. We're a little more responsible.
Oh my God, thank you. Why don't venues understand that? I know that's off topic, but like that's one of my biggest frustrations as a party promoter. The way that venue owners will take space up under you because you're not making as much money as like the straight party. I'm like, we don't spend as much as men do because we're not desperate for attention in the club the way men are. They spend money so that women can come to their tables. When you're a fine ass bitch, women will just come anyways. You don't even have to have a bottle. You should. Right. But you don't have to. That's so. I know that's not what we're talking about, but like that frustrates me so much as a party promoter. The way that venues treat us, like we can't bring in money because it's not comparable to like a straight party.
Yeah, and we used to be like, damn, straight women is cheap. I mean, gay women is cheap, but it's really just women in general. We're a little more responsible with our funds. And you know what? I'll get 3 drinks before I get a bottle. You know what I mean?
Pay less than men unfairly. So we don't have that, you know what I mean? Like we get paid well, but compared to a man who probably gets paid 10 times as much as us at the same job, like, yeah, he can go blow $2,000 in the club on a bottle. Right? Like,
in a heartbeat.
But don't get me started. That should be having me.
Trust.
Oh my God.
That all the time. But
yeah,
I think we with this subject in particular, man, I just want I would love just for the trans community to just show more grace. I really would like, even like EXEL said, like the way when there is a conflict or something that they might not agree with, it's all about how you go about that too. Like, because I don't know if you want to say EXEL, but like they was talking about like they didn't want to go to a certain place that EXEL was at because of something we say on the No Homo show. And we thinking maybe it's because we had a trans up there, trans man, and maybe they said something. But it's like, how you gonna say you don't want to be where EXEL's at because somebody said something that you didn't agree with? And instead of coming to us like, hey, I just want to let you know my perspective on this.
Right.
I respect y'all show and what y'all do because we are standing for the whole community with our show and we do take it seriously. Instead of coming to us like on that, it's like, no, I'm a boycott the whole damn. Like, what the fuck? Like, why we
and we heard
like show us some grace like this. And then the thing with the trans community is like, it's like nobody's on the same page. I think like my friends that are trans, they all got different perceptions of when it comes to how they carry their self. So imagine us as the outsider trying to understand and keep up with all this. You gotta see why we don't get it all the way right, but just know that we're trying and we're trying to hold space where y'all can come and y'all do yourselves, whatever the case is. But I do feel like it's about how they go about it too a lot.
Yeah, I definitely feel like trans people on the internet are tougher on us than the ones that I actually interact with in like real life. Like my best friend is trans, and I tell him all the time, I'm like, you're not like the experience I have with him on a day-to-day basis is like night and day with what I see sometimes on the internet. And I've always had great experience with the trans men, and that's probably because I'm a femme, so it's just like a different interaction. But like I'm just like, trans men are not like this in real life. Like I've known so many of them and they're not as offensive or, you know, I don't like to use the word aggressive, but like not as lack of understanding that, as I feel like I see on the internet. And I just think sometimes the internet is not the actual world that people are living and experiencing. And so I think that's a part of it too, because like we have trans men come to our parties all the time, and there's never a question if they should be there. They just come because they want to party. Like, even if it says all girls, they probably want to see some fine queer bitches, so they come to the parties, right?
Yeah. And you said, I believe didn't you say like you dated or open to dating trans men? Did you say something?
I have dated trans men before, yeah.
Yeah, and I do think like the lesbian parties or LGBT community is more likely to be open to that compared to like going into a straight venue and maybe somebody not knowing and stuff. So
yeah, that's I agree. Like I do, you know, my personal opinion is that trans men should date queer women. They don't have to necessarily be lesbians, right? But I think they should date queer women because queer women are going to be more understanding to the parts that you don't have and where you come from and how you might not literally be like a man because you used to be a woman and there's just a softness to you that will just naturally exist. But I also understand and respect some trans men who identify as cisgender, I guess not cisgender men, but who want to identify are presented as a cis man and date straight women. I also understand that perspective, right? So it's just kind of like, it's your personal preference. Again, if you want to date straight women as a trans man, that makes sense. If you want to date queer women as a trans man, that also makes sense. You know, when I dated trans men, I would identify as queer within those, not relationships, that's a strong word, but romantic interactions out of respect
for you doing the do, huh?
Right, out of how
doing the do is crazy. Doing the do.
Got her choked up. Got her choked up.
No. But you know, like out of respect for how they identified, but like, because I feel like that's understanding. You know, but I just feel like straight women don't necessarily get it all the way, and I think they're expecting a cisgender man, and that's not what they're going to get necessarily. But that's just my personal opinion, right? I respect people's preferences because I want people to respect my preferences, even though people in the comments hate when I say that.
Well, you know, as we're talking about parties and stuff, I do just want to throw it in there. This Saturday is actually my birthday party out here in Atlanta.
Hey!
So, BADDIE Galore, if you want to buy that flight real quick. You know what I'm saying? So, we got Femme Frequency. It's a 106 and Party Millennial Edition. And we just taking it, throwing it back, R&B. It's just going to be fun vibes. Look, we're going to get BRITT doing that. Yes. She's going to be doing the Cry Baby. She's going to be doing the Butterfly.
Cry Baby.
The Bounce.
Cry Baby at 6 years old. That's wild, right?
Like, that's actually very inappropriate.
You was one of them little kids that be twerking. Every adult be like,
I was a hood baby. Ghetto.
Listen, hey. But yes, it's this Saturday in Atlanta. Get y'all tickets at buzzbrittxdjexcel.com, and it's gonna be fun. And we just like what I love about this party is it's not like pressure on buying sections and stuff. We have an open dance floor, and this venue is right in Midtown, the midst of all the gay things, right actually on the crosswalk, like the LGBT crosswalk in Atlanta. I don't know what exactly it's called, but
this area is just like a gayborhood.
Yeah, it's a gayborhood.
I love the word gayborhood.
Yes, and unfortunately, like lesbian events don't happen that much out there. It's mostly like male dominated. So we're looking forward to this, and I hope if you're in Atlanta, pull up. If you're an hour away, pull up. 2 hours. If you're a flight away, pull up, because one thing I learned from us being booked all over is that Atlanta is a special place, and it holds a special energy for the LGBT, queer, all that community. Y'all should experience something. BADDIE Galore, don't do us like that.
All I'm saying is
we love DC's energy. Let me just say that too.
I do love
DC.
Right.
Was they on Atlanta ass.
If you're in DC this weekend, the Frequency class is having a Juneteenth Sunday Fun Day party at Mirror Lounge on 9, 5 to 10. We will have sections. We will have bottles. It will be lit. pop up. Either you can be in Atlanta with them or be in DC with me or be at both places just a flight away.
Why you got
start at EXEL's birthday party and then come to my day party in DC.
Your day party's on Sunday?
It's on Sunday.
Okay, lit. We outside.
Yeah, weekend to me.
Hello?
Lit. Because we gotta close out Pride Month. Yep. And I think it needs to close out, actually, because it's been
It's been exhausting.
It's been exhausting. It's been exhausting. Don't want any more of y'all to tell us about your boyfriends. Keep it to yourself.
This is our third boyfriend?
Yes.
Yes. And there's some we haven't even talked about. That's the crazy part. There have been so many. There have been so many.
We gotta highlight a new relationship next time, y'all. We gotta highlight some new gay shit, all right?
Couples to shout out.
Next week we're not recording, right?
Are y'all gonna miss us?
We're taking off. It's my birthday week, y'all. The sis need a break.
Cancer season.
Give the sis a break. I'm the sis, all right, y'all. I need a break. But we'll be right back the beginning of July. I gotta look at my calendar. I don't know what day
we'll be back
it is. Okay, so
we see y'all.
Yeah, I'm just giving y'all a heads up so y'all ain't be like they ain't consistent. Look, they done failed. No, we winning, bitches.
Okay, period.
Except we talking to people crazy on the show. We winning, bitches.
But hold up, Britt.
Sweet, for real.
So be honest though. This is how I talk to people I love.
Yeah, it is.
She loves y'all.
Once she love you, she gonna talk shit about you, and it ain't gonna stop.
See, Baddie Galore, like when I say like something to you, don't feel I'm not coming.
No, I don't mind. The thing is, I don't mind the shade because I'm a shady bitch. Okay, I wasn't
throwing shade though. In the beginning, I wasn't throwing shade. I'm just saying like you're really doing your femme big one.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And now like we
big baddie, not the little one.
Yeah, you're like, yo, if I'm the femme, I gotta hold it down. Like imagine
I gotta pop out.
Look, yeah, you did that. Yeah, I got it. We gotta step our game up. We coming basic ass. Look,
I'm in the house.
I'm in the house.
Even I'm naked under this, for real.
Not you got your sports bra on. See,
do not take my titties out. I swear to God, I do not do that.
Like a work interview when you stand up.
Yo, that's why I'm gonna stay my ass down.
Yo, Baddie, you keeping us up. You keeping us up. So, thank you for all your research, like usual. You coming with the receipts. We can't even defend time. God damn it. Thank y'all for tuning in. Y'all already know it's the queer agenda.
Bye, y'all. See y'all next time.
I'm trying to do a heart. I cannot get my finger.